public's dissatisfaction with the Finance Bill 2024, which degenerated in a Gen Z protest. It pointed to the failure of the National Intelligence Service in carrying out its mandate. I am persuaded that the National Intelligence Service ought to have known beforehand that the public was completely opposed to the finance bill, and they ought to have briefed the president before the protest began, as this would have caused a change of tact by government regarding the proposed bill, and protest which culminated in the loss of innocent lives and destruction of property could have been avoided. Hence, I express my opinion, as this is in my public media briefing in Mombasa, and my utterances were not any different from what happens to other countries when there is lapse or failure by the intelligence agencies. Many of you will recall that after September 11th terrorist attack in the US intelligence agencies were massively criticized. An inquiry was even opened to investigate why the intelligence agency was not able to detect and thwart the terror attack. Under the Constitution of Kenya, the government agencies are supposed to be accountable to the Kenyan people, including the National Intelligence Service, and calling them out when there is a dereliction of duty does not amount to undermining them. In any case, the Director General of NIS is not above the law. He is a public officer. Just like the President, the Deputy President, Cabinet Ministers, he too is subject to criticism like any other public officer. In fact, I'll have videos. President William Ruto, as Deputy President, at one time criticized the then Director General of the National Intelligence Service. In another video, he heavily criticized the then Inspector General of Police for the performance. I have learned from my boss how this job is done. It's clear. It's done. I mean, nobody, the president is criticized daily. The deputy president is criticized daily. And we take no offense. The Director General of the National Intelligence Service is not above the law. He is a public officer. He is accountable to the people of Kenya. And when one feels he has underperformed, he'll be called out. Because that is the nature of the Kenyan state. And this I learned from my boss when he was Deputy President. Again, there was an issue that the President and I committed ourselves publicly that never again in our administration shall ever we allow abductions and extrajudicial killings. Despite the police keeping on misleading the president to say that there are no abductions, you all know, you have evidence on video that they have happened. And that is what I commented, and I said it is wrong. And because I'm a truthful person, I'll say what is wrong when it happens. Despite the fact that I am compelled by the principle of collective responsibility to be part and parcel of every decision made by government, that I'll continue to do so, but only those decisions that are constitutional and within the rule of law. Abductions and judicial killings are unconstitutional. I will never support them. President William Ruto has been criticized left, right, and center. I have not seen him take anybody to court for criticizing him. Why is Rigathi Gachagua being impeached for calling out the Director General of the National Intelligence Service? The Deputy President is criticized daily. The judiciary is criticized daily. The media is criticized daily, including the Star, whom I've criticized today. But that is as far as it goes. And again, despite being just the Deputy President, I enjoy a constitutional right in the Bill of Rights, freedom of speech. And if the Director General of the National Intelligence Service was aggrieved, there are mechanisms of how he can take me to court and sue me for defamation. And I'll be able to argue why I said what I said. So that is not a ground for impeachment. I mean, that is curtailing liberties, the freedom of expression, the freedom to hold public officers accountable for their actions. And I want to say finally, I think I've literally addressed all the grounds because I felt it's important for the people of Kenya to know the allegations against the Deputy President and his responses. And as you have heard, though you are not judges and you are not advocates, there is nothing here that violates the Constitution. There is no gross misconduct. There is no crime that has been committed. I'm innocent on all these charges, and I want to clarify my apology yesterday to the President did not in any way imply that I'm guilty of these charges. I'm not. This I'm not. My statement was that if there's something I've done to the President that I don't know, that probably has upset him, I ask for his forgiveness. But that was in no way an admission of this ridiculous allegations meant to overturn the will of the people. Finally, in conclusion, I want to say that overturning the will of the people is not a joke. It calls for very serious violation of the Constitution. None of these issues here meets the threshold. We'll go to Bunge tomorrow. I'll be there at 5 for 2 hours, and I'll put my case. In the unfortunate event it proceeds to the Senate, I'll be there again to prove my innocence by way of evidence. When I called this press conference, there was a lot of speculation that Rigathi Gachagua wants to resign. This is a man elected by 7.2 million Kenyans. How dare you suggest to him that he can do so without public participation? I have no intention whatsoever to resign from this job. I'll fight to the end. I have tremendous respect for our judiciary and the professional judges of the High Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. And in the professional manner they have handled serious issues affecting Kenya. The impeachment of a deputy president elected by 7.2 million Kenyans is not a small matter that can hastily be decided by a few members of parliament and senators and wish it away. I'll submit myself to independent institutions to get justice. And I'm sure, I have no doubt in my mind that I'll get justice. And this impeachment will be thrown out. And I'll carry out my duties as deputy president. That is why anybody saying feel as to me to resign is a joker. And I found a few people using my friends to come and sweet talk to me. Please, my friends, I don't want to become enemies with you. When you are given such silly messages, don't bring them to me. I have no intention. I cannot resign. I did not give myself this job. I was given by the people of Kenya. I've done nothing wrong against the people of Kenya whatsoever. I've worked hard.